This golden is famous for his love of ice cream. This cat holds a world record. His height is extreme. Meet a woman who tempts birds to eat from her hand and learn the healthiest pet foods, both dry and canned. This show is recommended by 5 out of 5 vets because they know at Local 4, we're always all for pets. Hey there, and welcome to All for Pets, where we have a proud tradition of picking fabulous spokespets over the years. You know, we've had animals from cats to a horse to a pair of toucans represent us. Our last spokespet was Sora, the jumping spider, and when it came time for her to retire, well, we went looking for a new face for our organization. It ended up with a story that recalls one of Aesop's fables, plus an incredible coincidence, and of course, a ton of cuteness. More than 900 animals applied to be spokespet. That's a lot of resumes to run through. We managed to narrow it down to 12 finalists, but left the ultimate choice up to All for Pets fans in a vote. Eventually, 2 favorites pulled ahead of the pack: Scooter, the 12-year-old turtle, and Freddie, the 10-year-old golden retriever. Scooter is a library pet at Angel Elementary School in Berkeley.
We call him the socially awkward turtle because he does not like to be around people too much, but his personality is starting to come out a little more. He's coming out of his shell, literally, and he will come out to this corner here. He sees me working at my desk, and he comes to this corner to see me.
Freddie lives with his family in Troy and went viral for his sweet tooth.
He hears ice cream truck before we do, most of the time, just like a little kid. He will bark, he'll run to the front door, and then we got to go out there with our dollars and get him his popsicles or his pup cups.
His ears will perk up, and he'll just go to the front of the house, back of the house, keep running, and then just stare at us and just be like, what? And then we'll hear it. And then we'll let him out in the front yard, and he'll just stand there and bark until he sees it come down the street, and then he'll run right in, jump on the person, jump on the truck, and then just eats the ice cream in like 3 bites. I don't know how he doesn't get a brain freeze.
Wow, Fred.
The All for Pets Spokespet contest set off a cuteness competition.
I'm like, oh, this is so cute. You know, let me just submit a picture of Freddie and answer some questions. And then we saw it pop up and his picture was on there. I'm like, what is this? Why is Freddie's picture on here? And then I got the email that he was one of the top 12. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then we just obviously we shared it to all of our Facebook, all of our social media, all of his social media. It was a fun week, like looking at him and then looking at Scooter, and they were like neck and neck the whole week. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I go and click on Detroit every day, so I just happened to see a post about post your pet, and I was like, well, Scooter's cute. I'm just gonna post him. And then I got an email like last week about him being in the top 12, and I was so beyond excited. Like I immediately called everybody in the school like, oh my gosh, this is big news. I emailed the entire staff. This is big news. We got to get everybody to vote.
The close race between the tortoise and the hairy dog went on for a week.
Oh my God, Scooter's at 36. Freddie's at 37. Scooter's at 39 or whatever it was, you know. And we just kept sharing like, you got to vote. Like they're neck and neck. So it was fun.
Freddie's owner, Michelle, noticed something striking when she read his main rival Scooter's bio.
I saw underneath it said he was the library pet at Angel Elementary. I went to Angel Elementary. I grew up in Berkeley, graduated from Berkeley High. So I just thought that was so funny. And so when Freddie ended up winning, I'm like, we gotta go visit that school. We gotta go visit the kids. We gotta see Scooter. So I thought that would just be a riot.
Yes, Michelle attended Angel Elementary when she was a kid. An amazing coincidence. So after Freddie finally edged out Scooter, she arranged a summit.
She wanted Freddie to meet Scooter, and I just thought that was such an awesome opportunity. All the kids here know about Freddie. They, of course, know about Scooter, and to have that opportunity of her to bring him here and the pets to meet was a great idea.
Say hi, man.
Bringing mammals and reptiles together through a friendly competition with a lesson for all the humans who love them too.
I think it's that 2 people that are vying for the same job can come together and still become friends. And work together, they can both be little ambassadors of friendship across species.
Aw, Aw, Freddie is such a sweet guy and a wonderful spokes pet. Now, the house cat you're about to meet is tall, that's for sure, but he's also gentle, kind, and uses his unique physique to help raise money for charitable organizations. Who holds the record for oldest living cat? Well, that's Flossie from across the pond in London. What about longest whiskers? Missy, a Maine Coon from Finland. Most dice ever stacked on a cat's paw? 10, achieved by Bibi in Malaysia. Now, how about the tallest living cat in the whole wide world? It's Fenreer from Farmington Hills, Michigan, USA.
He is a big, friendly doofus. He's kind of silly. I don't know how to explain it in the way that he's almost like a dog. He gets the zoomies. He plays fetch. He loves to be chased.
Fenreer belongs to Dr. Will Powers, a self-described cat guy and physician for humans who often brings his beloved pets to the office.
Typically, there's just one that comes per day, but today I brought them all. We've got Polaris over there, we've got Hyperion over here, and we've got the big boy. This is Fenreer. Fenreer is my Savannah cat, and hi, good boy. Can you give me a kiss? Good boy, gives me kisses. Savannah cats are a domestic cat that is a hybrid between an African serval and a domestic. He has one grandparent that's a serval, and so he's effectively 25% serval. But at that point, the International Cat Association recognizes the breed as a domestic cat.
Fenreer and his Bengal brothers don't trigger allergies, which makes them perfect therapy cats for the practice.
Fen typically comes the most. He really loves coming. Polaris and Hyperion, they don't like the car ride as much. And so I'll bring them if they're eager to go. I basically in the morning say, "Who wants to go to work?" And usually Fen will run to the door because he knows he gets fed here. When I have to give a patient bad news, nothing makes bad news go down easier than having a giant cat next to you to pet while I tell it. And I'm a family physician, but I'm also a boarded HIV specialist. And so I treat patients with HIV and AIDS. And sometimes I have to give people really bad news, which is tough. And literally, I will make sure he is with me when I go in the room to do that.
Fenreer is a special guy, but he's not Dr. Powers' first record-setting pet.
Back in the day, I was president of the Ferndale Cat Shelter. And I had some rescue cats, a Maine Coon that was a rescue, and I got a rescue Bengal. And I thought it might be kind of fun if I ended up getting a Savannah cat because we could use him for, like promotions and stuff for the Ferndale Cat Shelter. What I didn't expect was that he would be the biggest Savannah cat to ever live. Now, that was Arcturus all the way back in 2017. My first cat that had a Guinness World Record was Cygnus. He's the one that has the record for the longest tail ever on a cat. He's, again, also on the wall. Cygnus, his tail was so long that I thought there might be something medically wrong with him. So I posted him on Ask a Vet on Reddit and said, "Hey, any vets here, have you ever seen a cat with a tail this long? Is there some, bone or other collagen anomaly I need to be worried about?" And the vets were like, "Nope, that's wild though," but Guinness saw the photograph. And so they said, "Hey, can you measure that tail? Because we're pretty sure that would break the all-time record by a large margin." And he did. He broke it by almost 2 inches. And that was when he was like 9 months old. So they came to the house, they flew a whole film crew out from the UK. And while the film crew was at the house, they saw his brother, Arcturus. They're like, "Wow, that's a really tall cat. Have you measured him?" They did while they were there, and Arc had broken the all-time record as well. So at that time, I had the tallest cat in the world and the longest tail cat in the world.
Unfortunately, tragedy struck soon thereafter.
Shortly after Arcturus got his world record, we had a house fire, and I was nearly killed in the fire, and I lost all my cats, which sucked. I then went through some rough years after that. A few years after the fire, the mother and father of Arcturus had a set of kittens, and I couldn't resist. I adopted them too, and so I fed them the same special diet that I designed for these guys. They get all the vitamins and minerals and everything else they can possibly do to make them as healthy as possible. And Fen actually broke the record when he was only 1 year old. You are looking at the Guinness World Record cat. He is a big boy. Would you like to take a treat? Very nice. Would you like to be a good boy and take the treat? Yeah. You can see his teeth and his paw size. So I'm a 6'3", 200-pound man, and that's the size of his paw. He could easily cover a 50-cent piece with his paw. Show him how big your paw is. Show him how big. Like, that's my thumb compared to it. He's an absolute monster of an animal. How about your claws? Can I see your claws? So he does have claws. I've never declawed any of my cats, and they are enormous. They are probably double the size of a normal cat's claws. He eats an enormous amount of food per day. He eats about 450 to 500 calories a day. Most of the food that I have is raw. It's usually ground whole prey. And then I have some adjuvants that I put in it. And so when I originally had Arcturus and I just devised the diet for him, what I put together was basically all of the essential amino acids for cats in their raw chemical form, like in their powder of L-tyrosine. And then I took some of that with some porcine bone meal for bone health and growth, long-chain fatty acids, and then a cat multivitamin and some other stuff. And I made this powder. And then that powder gets mixed into mostly raw meat, but occasionally they get some regular cat food just for treats, because they will always prefer to eat the Captain Crunch kind of form of cat food as opposed to the raw meat, but mostly they live on raw meat.
Fenreer is 38 pounds and about 20 inches tall at the shoulder, which is considered a cat's height. This buff boy is available for personal appearances if it's for a good cause.
Basically any charity thing in Michigan for animals or anything that would be appropriate for him, I take him no cost, happy to bring him to stuff and help him raise funds for whatever charity it is we can help him raise funds for. So if you're seeing this, please ask me. I love to do work with my boy. He's super duper good, super friendly. Stand up. Stand up, big chunks. Come here. Give me a kiss. Give me kisses. Good boy. Give me kisses again. Yeah.
If you'd like to ask Fenreer to attend your charitable event, or you just want to follow him on social media, we have the links to find them at clickondetroit.com. We'll be right back. Meet our Insta friend, Trey. Trey had multiple breaks in his left leg when he was found as a kitten, and veterinarians had to amputate. But you'd never know handsome Trey is missing a leg. He's a playful and, of course, dapper tuxedo gentleman, always putting on the Ritz. You can follow this cuddle monster on Instagram at Trey_Lowly. Oh, love Trey. What a handsome tuxie, and can do a lot on 3 legs. Well, for one woman, the gift of a camera not only changed her daily routine, it opened her eyes to the world of wildlife all around us, especially the birds. She actually spends so much time in their neck of the woods, she's got them eating out of her hand. It's a chilly day at Kensington Metro Park, but Jocelyn Anderson doesn't mind because she's there to meet friends.
A typical day is 2 to 3 hours, and even if it's -10 and snowy and icy, I can usually make it for an hour because the birds here are happy to see me. Lots of people here bring food for the birds, and we're allowed to feed the birds that land in your hand. And on the chilly winter days, not too many people come out. So when I show up, all the little chickadees and toughies are happy to see me, which that puts a big smile on my face.
Jocelyn takes still photos with her Sirius camera, and with her phone, she captures the quick visits songbirds make to what she calls her hand of snacks.
It does make you feel a little bit like a Disney princess. It's just like these cute, adorable birds put your trust in you, and there's absolutely nothing like it. It is magical.
Slowing down the videos allows time for their unique personalities to shine.
My favorite bird is the tufted titmouse, because they are so cute. They have this little gray tuft and these big dark eyes and these gigantic personalities. They are so incredibly sassy, which I think is hilarious for cute little birds.
And some make such an impression that Anderson recognizes individual birds, aka repeat customers.
There is a female northern cardinal that I call the queen of the boardwalk, because she holds her own against the much larger, much heavier, sharp-beaked red-winged blackbirds. So she will come and she will land in my hand and she will be dining. And if red-winged blackbirds can be very aggressive, they will come up and she will shoo them away until she is done. And I absolutely just love that about her. And then extra special visitors include, there's a rose-breasted grosbeak that will visit in the spring and summer. And there's one American tree sparrow who's one of our winter visitors. The heaviest bird at the hand of snacks is the red-bellied woodpecker. If on my videos, well, there's also the mourning dove. They're a little bit lighter, but most birds land on my hand, and I can keep it pretty steady. But for the red-bellied woodpeckers, my hand drops a little bit because they're a little bit heavier.
Jocelyn posts her photos on social media and her own website, where she also shares tips for people who want to try hand feeding birds in their own yards.
You can set up a mannequin and that, have a glove there. And then after a week or so, you replace yourself instead of the mannequin, but you're still wearing the glove, and the little birds are used to that. And then if you like to, you can remove the glove. And this typically works best in colder climates, when the middle of winter, when it's really cold and there's birds are really looking for food.
Of course, many of the most popular birds at Kensington Metro Park are much too big for anyone's hand.
The great blue herons are in an amazing place for photography here. Their rookery, which is a place where there's about a dozen of them nesting, they will raise 2 to 3 chicks. So you get to see them grow up here at the park, and it starts to seem like their little fuzzy tufts in the nest. My absolute favorite, and this is so special around here, are the sandhill cranes. So these are these 4 to 5 foot birds. Beautiful trumpeting call. Sometimes they nest close to locations where they make for absolutely phenomenal photography opportunities. And their chicks, which are called colts, because their legs get to be quite long. They start out, sandhill cranes are 4 or 5 feet, and then the colts are just this big. And the first couple of days, they're still figuring out how to use those long legs, and the parents are just so kind and caring. Sandhill crane parents are great parents. They both take care of the chicks. It's typically mom takes care of the first one that hatches, and then dad takes care of the second one that hatches.
In 2019, Jocelyn witnessed something so unusual, the National Audubon Society took notice.
There was a sandhill crane nest, and a Canada goose laid an egg in the sandhill crane nest. And the sandhill crane saw this happening, and they chased the goose away, but they hatched the Canada goose egg. And this had never been recorded before.
Jocelyn takes about 3,000 photos on every trip to Kensington. That's more than 1 million pics so far.
My keeper rate is somewhere around 0.0001, because with wildlife photography, especially for action photos, when a bird's about to take off or something's about to happen, the beauty of digital camera format is I can take thousands of pictures and just keep the really good ones. Photography has really opened up this amazing world of birds to me, and I've made amazing photographer friends, amazing birder friends, and it just amazes me that 8 years ago, I didn't even know this world existed.
Visitors to the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks are allowed to feed songbirds that land on their hand, but no other wildlife should ever be fed. And keep in mind, birdseed should never be left on the ground. We'll be right back. Meet our Insta friend, Carson. Carson is a cream lab who got her name from the town where she was born, Carson City, Michigan. Just look at that puppy face. Carson loves snow, snoozing in sunny spots, peanut butter, and hijinks. She's a very successful sock thief. You can keep up with Carson's shenanigans on Instagram at Carson the Cream. What a gorgeous pup. Pet store aisles are stacked with colorful packaging, promising healthy, delicious meals your dog or cat will love. But how much should you read into the buzzwords printed all over those bags and cans? Well, we checked it out with an expert.
You keep dog food in your fridge?
Yeah, but those ingredients cost a lot more.
Blue's about 25 cents more a day. That's not too much for my Chester.
The choices are overwhelming and the buzzwords can be confusing. So we asked Michigan Humane veterinarian Alan Mergener for some grocery shopping guidance when it comes to pet food. He says the first thing to look for on any packaging is the AAFCO statement from the Association of American Feed Control Officials. It's usually underneath the nutrition information. The AAFCO statement means the food is a complete and balanced main diet for your pet. You won't find it on food that's meant to be supplemental or a treat. Next, choose food formulated formulated for your pet's stage in life.
Kittens and puppies, they're growing. Their body needs quite a bit of nutrients to grow bones, to become more healthy and overall just develop all of the things that puppies and kittens need to get to that adult stage. When you start to get into senior mode, we're trying to prevent overweight, the stress on those joints, and then also joint health. A lot of times you'll see diets that might be higher in the glucosamine or the fatty acids to help try to support the cartilage in the joints and things like that.
Pet obesity is a big problem, so talk to your vet about how many calories per day he or she should be getting.
The bag itself, when you buy a bag, will give you a range, and they have to give you a range because every animal is different. Is your animal training to be a triathlon marathon runner, or are they just hanging out at home with you in the off hours? So
include all treats and table scraps in the total calorie calculation.
Probably the most important thing is understanding that everything that you feed needs to be incorporated, being very mindful of a cup is a true 8-ounce cup and not necessarily just any cup, and that those all kind of go into, you might think you're feeding the correct amount, but you're actually overfeeding accidentally.
And remember, every flavor and formulation varies, even if it's made by the same brand.
You'll be surprised at how different calorie contents are between diets. And so not every puppy diet is going to be the 397 kcals per cup. Some might be more, some might be less. So that's why there's difference in feeding recommendations of how much. And so not every diet out there is going to be feed 1 cup twice a day, because everyone's going to have a different calorie content than the other one.
We ran some of the buzziest trends by Dr. Mergener. First, refrigerated or fresh food.
Some dogs, some smaller breed dogs might be a little pickier, and so if they enjoy that fresher version of the food and it meets all the requirements that they need, that might be a good alternative. Some dogs don't like dry kibble, some dogs don't like wet food, so finding that variety that they may enjoy and keeps them at a healthy weight and not overweight or underweight is acceptable.
Human grade.
Human grade just is referring to that it is good to be eaten. Now, that might not be any different than a regular kibble food. A lot of maybe fresh foods, fresh refrigerated foods are probably being labeled as human grade because they're using maybe a fresh chicken or a cooked chicken or something like that, which also means you need to take into account storage of that. Human grade I wouldn't really consider as a major factor in when I'm looking at a dog food.
Grain-free.
Grain-free is referring to the specific grains of corns and other grains that are included in diets that they may, I think is the wide consensus, that they may think that they cause allergies and things like that. But grains are quite important to diets. They provide nutrients that are very important for heart health and health of the entire body. So excluding grains is not necessarily a way that I would recommend looking at a dog food for. A lot of grains are very, very important for animal health. So going the grain-free route is not typically what I would recommend.
Limited ingredient.
You'd have to go more into depth with your veterinarian about what's limited in it, what are the ingredients, is there anything that's lacking, is there anything that your specific animal needs, and so always bringing that information to your next vet visit is super important.
Raw food.
Raw food, that category, I typically don't recommend. The reasons behind that are both, pet safety and human safety, human food safety. When dealing with raw food diets, there's risk of E. coli contamination, salmonella contamination that can make the pet sick. If you're exposed to it and you're dealing with bowls in food that have that, there's a potential for you to get salmonella or E. coli, kids in the house, that type of thing. So in general, I don't recommend raw diets. And again, just raw meat only may not have all of the nutrients that are required for that animal at their current stage of life.
If you find a food formulated for your dog's specific breed, Mergener says that could be a good option. But the most important thing is to make sure you're giving your pet a complete diet in the correct portions, and your vet is happy to help you.
If you're dealing with a pet overweight, having the brand, having the calorie content helps us formulate a plan based on equations and what their weight level is and their body condition score is and how fast we want them to lose weight are all factors that are taken into consideration with the calorie content to tell you how much you should be feeding and then how frequently we're going to be monitoring that weight loss goal.
It is so important to keep an eye on your pet's nutrition. Lots of good advice there. My boy Zen has human-grade organic food. Sometimes I think he eats better than I do. Thank you for joining me for All for Pets. See you next time.